Good afternoon. So it's a hard act to follow. That was really remarkable. I'm Brad Schneider. I represent the 10th District in Congress. I agree with you on one point. We need to change the system. We need to have one system that all people, regardless of the color of the skin, get a fair shake in front of the law. It's not what we have today. We saw it vividly on our screens on May 25th when George Floyd had a police officer's knee on his neck for 8 minutes, 46 seconds until he breathed his last breath. When I was last in Buffalo Grove a couple weeks ago, I remarked on the sign that said, "All mothers were summoned when George Floyd called for his mama." I think we've seen in the more than 3 weeks since George Floyd's murder that all Americans were summoned. We've seen it in more than 2,000 communities, gatherings just like this one, where people have said, as a nation, we are better than what we're seeing transpire with police brutality, with two systems of justice, with racism in this country in every aspect of our lives. Today's June 19th. It is a celebration. It is a celebration of the freedom, the second birth of independence in our country. The beginning of that independence in the Declaration said we hold certain truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal. Clearly self-evident, but not self-executing. The next important document for us in our history class, of course, is the Constitution, where those people created equal says, "We the people, in order to form a more perfect union." The founders knew we weren't perfect. In fact, I believe the founders knew that the union they were creating was being created with the original sin of slavery. Many understood it was going to have a consequence long into the future. It has a consequence to this very day. But what we're seeing across the country, what we're seeing on this lawn, what we're seeing in the voices of the young people crying out, is saying we the people have a lot of work to do for that more perfect union, but we the people are committed to doing that work. So on May 25th, the world witnessed the murder of George Floyd. But let me tell you what that call to action that all of you have started has done so far. 2 weeks ago in the House of Representatives, we introduced the George Floyd Justice and Policing Bill to change the laws that you're talking about, to end racial profiling, to ban chokeholds, to create a national register of police misconduct so a bad cop can't go from one jurisdiction to another, continuing that racism. 2 weeks ago, it was introduced in the House. Last week, it went through the Judiciary Committee for a hearing. And 2 days ago, it passed through the Judiciary Committee and will come to the floor of the House for a full vote on June 25th, 1 month to the day after the death of George Floyd. It's not, as President Trump said, a good day for George Floyd. We cannot bring George Floyd back. His life, like so many other lives before him, and tragically we've seen lives since, were senselessly cut short because of racism. Racism in this country. But his legacy, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, when it becomes law, is the beginning of a new independence for this country. Now I'll wrap up with the call to action that's already been made to each of you. You have to get out and vote, and get your families out to vote. And it's not just in the November election, it's in every single election, because the elections at our local level matter just as much, if not more, in confronting this racism. And I'm going to speak to the young people, but it doesn't matter what age you are. It's more than just voting. Get involved, get engaged. Stay as an activist that you are today. Run for office, because that's how we get the change that we need. We're going to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, I have no doubt, and I'm calling on the Senate today to take action to meet us there. But that's not where we can stop. We must work to change this country for the better. Martin Luther King said the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice. It doesn't bend by itself. It takes the energy of an entire nation, an entire generation. We are that generation. We are going to bend that arc. We stand on the shoulders of the giants who led us in the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s, the folks like Rosa Parks who refused to move to the back of the bus in the 1950s, and the people before them. This is our legacy, but you all get to determine our future. Let's make sure our future is worthy. Thank you.